In just week 6 of the 2024 NFL season, we would see a game of significant importance as the San Francisco 49ers would take on the Seattle Seahawks in a nationally televised Thursday night game. Both teams entered the game with a sense of desperation, with Seattle having lost 2 in a row and the 49ers having lost 2 out of their last 3, both to division opponents. Whoever emerged victorious in this game would be in first place in the NFC West, so the stakes were high. Welcome to Josh's Football Breakdowns, where we don't tell you what you're seeing, we let the film tell us what we're seeing. And on the first third down of the ball game, the Seahawks would look to get one of their most important players involved early, wide receiver DK Metcalf. And here he's running short of the line to gain. But Seattle called this play because DK is working against the linebackers for the San Francisco 49ers in his zone, Fred Warner and Devondre Campbell, a mismatch. Fred passes him off to Devondre Campbell, but Campbell is mesmerized by the route of the running back, Zach Charbonnet. He never picks Metcalf up. DK runs right through the zone, and it's a big gain for the Seattle Seahawks early in this ballgame. Despite a strong pass rush from Nick Bosa early, Geno Smith would stay calm, step up in the pocket, find the right receiver, and get the ball out quickly, something he would need to do for the entire game for the Seahawks to emerge with the win. Seattle moved the ball well on their opening drive, but here they're facing another third down just outside the red zone. Nick Bosa would have a good day, and here he gives the right tackle, Stone Forsythe, a move to the outside before cutting to the inside. And at the same time, Malik Collins would also utilize the spin move against the right guard, and both would gain tremendous pressure against Geno Smith on this key third down. Once again, Geno tries to get the ball out early when he sees Tyler Lockett coming across, but in the face of tremendous pressure, he overthrows the football, and the pass is intercepted by Malik Mustapha, a huge defensive play by the rookie on the game's opening drive. The Mustapha stumbles a bit and goes out of bounds at the 3, so the 49ers would start this drive backed up. And if you have to punt from within the shadow of your own goalpost, the other team will score around 90% of the time, so this is an important third down for San Francisco. And Seattle played good defense on this play. All the receivers for the 49ers are covered, so Brock Purdy decides to scramble, but the outstanding defensive tackle for the Seahawks, Jarran Reed, closes the door. Brock finds a new rushing lane. The problem is now the defense has had time to react, and that's not just anybody back there, that's Jerome Baker and Leonard Williams. But Brock uses his athleticism, shakes off Baker, and then outruns Williams for the first down. Very impressive. And this is something we would see from the San Francisco 49ers throughout this game. Not only a mastery of the X's and O's, but outstanding athletic talents and also key strategy decisions, the chess moves that would help them win in the end. Now that the drive is going a little bit, we would see the 49ers line up with 2 tight ends and Brandon Ayuk tight to the line of scrimmage, a run-heavy formation. And we know with the 49ers, there's always a threat that they might try to get to the edge. So at the snap, Mike Morris immediately heads in that direction. But here we would see Trent Williams actually pins him to that side, while Aaron Banks heads downfield to block. And take a look at the other side of the formation. The 49ers have left Draymond Jones unblocked. Colton McKivitz would disrupt the rush of the defensive tackle, allowing Dominic Pooney to get downfield and block as well. This is a run designed to go up the middle. Mason runs through traffic, shakes off the tackle, spins, makes a man miss, and now we can see that it's up to Boye Mafe to be the one to bring Jordan Mason down, and Maffey's got the speed to do it, but take a look all the way across the other side of the field. Jauan Jennings comes over and gets just enough of Maffey to slow him down to allow Mason to turn this into an explosive play. There was a definite adjustment for the 49ers in this game. They got back to the run and stuck with the run. But here, sensing an opportunity on 2nd and 5, they take to the skies. But the Seahawks are ready for it. Brock Purdy takes a quick look and doesn't like what he sees, and he decides to scramble up the middle. But once again, the Seahawks close the door. And this time there's no question. They've got the angle on Brock Purdy. So Brock, once again, turns his eyes down the field and spots Jauan Jennings. But the Seahawks would eventually come up with a key set of stops and force a 49ers field goal attempt, and this was interesting because that's not Jake Moody back there, that's Matthew Wright. Moody is injured, so the 49ers had to sign a reliable journeyman kicker, but one without necessarily the strongest leg. But here it's a short kick, and the kick is good, and the 49ers get on the board first, 3-0. And they would get the ball back. Running the ball well, they would go back to Jordan Mason. Deebo Samuel would block the outside linebacker Boye Mafe, and Brandon Ayuk would go deep, taking the corner and the safety out of the play. But then Deebo would take off, and we realize this isn't a run, it's a fake, and Deebo Samuel is absolutely wide open. But take a look at Brock Purdy. Under pressure, he's falling backwards and throwing this football, and this ball would hang in the air a little bit. Nevertheless, thanks to the route of Brandon Ayuk, Julian Love is simply too far away to make this play. He just can't quite get going, and he tries to make a play on the ball instead of the tackle on Deebo Samuel, and he misses, and Deebo Samuel is off to the races, and we see how fast Mafe is, but he's not going to catch Deebo. Touchdown 49ers, and what a big play in this game. That time, it was preparation with the X's and O's and the athleticism of the players that led to a big play, and Matthew Wright makes the extra point. So the 49ers are up 10-0, but again, he doesn't have that big leg, so on the kickoff, it's short and it's going to lead to a return. Fumble, and the 49ers recover, and the Seahawks are having a terrible first half. Already well within the field goal range of Matthew Wright, Shanahan plays this a little conservatively, and the 49ers settle for another field goal attempt, and Matthew Wright knocks it through again. So they're up 13-0 now, 2 touchdowns essentially on the Seattle Seahawks on the road. And the 49ers would get the ball back again. Seattle is doing nothing offensively. And here we see again, there is so much of a threat to get to the edge that the Seahawks defense has to outflank San Francisco, and the 49er offensive line lets them do it. But Mason lands awkwardly on his shoulder, and we can see him down and in pain, and he would suffer a sprained AC joint and would essentially be unable to continue in this game. And that was, I thought, a significant event because Isaac Guerendo, to this point in the season, has not run the ball well. But he would be pressed into service here for the 49ers. And the 49ers importantly stuck with the run. They gave Guerendo a couple of carries early, and he would get about 3 yards a carry to this point. So when the 49ers threaten to go back to him again, the box safety, Julian Love, steps up. And with both Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuel threatening to go deep, the other safety, Kayvon Wallace, has no choice but to backpedal. Brandon Ayuk would take the space the defense left behind. But once again, the drive would stall. Matthew Wright would come on again and would make already in this game his third field goal attempt. So he's kicking the ball well, and the 49ers have put up 16 points. But despite all of the scoring, they're still only up by 2 scores. They're letting Seattle hang around a little bit, and the Seahawks would look to go on a 2-minute drive before the end of the half. And the Seahawks have got to get their offense going here. They've got to get something going. And with time a factor, the 49ers know that Seattle is likely to take some deeper shots down the field, call longer developing routes to a player like, for example, DK Metcalf. And that's exactly what the Seahawks do here. So the 49ers hang back, defending those longer routes. This does open up a lot of space in the middle, and check out JSN. He's clearly taking a step to the outside, and the 49ers don't want to give up a route out of bounds because they want that clock to keep running. So Diamador Lenore heads over to take that route away, and when he does, JSN comes back to the inside. Geno gets him the football, and it's a big play for the Seattle Seahawks on this drive. They knew what they had to do offensively due to the game situation, and they executed to perfection. In fact, Seattle would get this ball all the way down to the 2-yard line where they would have a 1st and goal. And here, Tyler Lockett runs a little bit of a pick play for Jackson Smith and Jigba. The Seahawks have a plan to go back to JSN on the goal line. But Geno is tempted also by the route of Tyler Lockett here. But because he's running through traffic, the timing of the route gets disrupted and the pass falls incomplete, bringing up 2nd and goal. And take a look at the game situation. With just 13 seconds left before the end of the half, time is really a factor here. And also notice that the Seahawks have no timeouts, so they can't really risk running the ball. They have to take to the skies, and San Francisco knows this. And once again, we see a good route by Jackson Smith and Jigba, who has a little bit of daylight with Diamador Lenore trailing. But DK Metcalf also ran a great route on this play, and with Lenore vacating the area, Metcalf is wide open here. But Geno once again is tempted by the longer route, this time to JSN in the back of the end zone. If he can get this ball all the way out to the back pylon, it's probably a touchdown for the Seahawks. But Geno hangs this ball to the inside, giving Lenore time to recover and make the play. Once again, the pass is incomplete, and with just 8 seconds left, the Seahawks are now facing 3rd and goal. And this time they finally complete the pass to DK Metcalf, but here we get a really good look. We can clearly see his toe is just barely out of bounds. That's how close the margins are in the NFL. And with just 3 seconds left to go before the end of the half, the Seahawks make the bitter decision to kick the short field goal from the 2-yard line. They get on the board 16-3, but it's still a 2-score game. And I thought this was significant. I don't know if this goal line stand at the end of the half is being talked about enough. All right, we're in the 3rd quarter now, and remember, it was the Seahawks that opened the game with the ball, so San Francisco gets the ball to start the 2nd half with an opportunity to build on their lead. Seattle knows that San Francisco is keen to do just that, and they don't want to give up another long one to Deebo, so they stick 2 safeties back deep. And the move would seem to pay off at first, because Deebo Samuel does exactly that. He goes deep on this play, but the Seahawks are ready. Both the corner and the safety go with him. But one thing that these deep routes do is they really space out the field, And when George Kittle goes to the sideline, we can see Jerome Baker here is in a little bit of an awkward position. He's not sure whether to stick with George Kittle, Isaac Guerendo, or Kyle Juszczyk, but if you're Jerome Baker, you've got to stick with George Kittle on this play. Alright, the 49ers have moved the ball into the red zone where they're facing a 3rd down and 3, and Seattle must hold the 49ers here. They cannot give up a touchdown. So here the Seahawks go into a zone defense. George Kittle runs through the zone, and this puts on one-on-one with the safety, Julian Love. From here, it's essentially a race to the front pylon. George Kittle has a bit of a head start, but Julian Love is probably a little bit faster than George Kittle. But here, Brock Purdy throws an absolute dime, and the ball gets there before Love can come over and make the play. Touchdown 49ers, and they are just pouring it on. Great throw by Brock Purdy, great catch by George Kittle, both feet down, maintains control of the ball to the ground, touchdown San Francisco. Perfectly executed. Remember what I told you, this game wasn't just about the X's and O's, but also the athleticism of the players. And the strategy elements too, which we'll get into more in a little bit. So the 49ers have just dominated this game. They are up 20 points, 23-3. But remember, Matthew Wright doesn't quite have that big leg that Jake Booty has. This kickoff is short, and that's going to allow for a return. And remember, the coverage team is not allowed to move until the ball is caught, so it doesn't matter how high he kicks it or anything like that. Shenault just has a running start, period. Mahoney's in a really difficult position here, trying to make a difficult open field tackle against a fast player with a running start. He had no chance. And then Graham can't come over and make the tackle. He tries to deliver the hit. It doesn't work. Shenault gets through it. Matthew Wright gets a piece of him, but not nearly enough to disrupt him. And Shenault is gone. And just like that, the Seattle Seahawks are right back in this ballgame. Now, when this play happened live, I just couldn't believe it. Special teams strikes again for the 49ers. But this is the way that the rules are set up now with these kick returns. The 49ers had an advantage before with Jake Moody, who could just kick it out of the back of the end zone, but now they don't have that advantage for a while, and the Seattle Seahawks were able to take advantage of the new rules and score a much-needed touchdown, and they would get the ball back. But here they would be facing 3rd and 8, and the 49ers are very interested in putting an end to this nonsense, so they line up with a 5-man front, clearly intending on sending a blitz. So Geno Smith changes the play. He sends Zach Charbonnet wide. And as a result, he would be one-on-one with Devondre Campbell, somebody who struggled in pass coverage for the 49ers. But both Devondre Campbell and Isaac Yiadom rather sensibly set up right at the line to gain, and this takes away the route of Zach Charbonnet. But it doesn't take away the route of Tyler Lockett. Now, I know a deeper route is a lower percentage play, something you may not want to risk on 3rd down, but with only one safety back deep, because the 49ers sent a blitz, Geno Smith knows he has Tyler Lockett open on this play. And he throws an absolutely beautiful pass to Tyler Lockett. Perfect pass from Geno Smith, and it's a 38-yard gain on the play. And against the blitz, the Seattle offensive line handled all of their one-on-one blocks without a problem. What a pass. And the Seahawks punch it in, ending the drive with Ken Walker, and just like that, it is now a 1-score game. And they have forced the 49ers into a punting situation. The Seahawks have flashed at different points this season, so San Francisco knew they would have to take them seriously. This is another big moment in the game. Contact, a muffed punt, and it's recovered apparently by San Francisco. We see a flag down. Let's go back and see if we can figure out what happened. The officials initially threw the flag on Chris Connolly for contacting D. Williams after Williams had called for a fair catch, which would be a foul. But Connolly was actually blocked into Williams, which is not a foul. Connolly is pushed in the back. That should be a flag on the Seahawks. That also wasn't called, but the officials do somehow pick up the flag for contacting Williams. But hold up. The Seahawks have possession of the football. If there's no foul on the play and Williams muffed the punt, possession should go to San Francisco. So Kyle Shanahan would challenge the play. Now, I can't show you the television feed, but the ball clearly contacts Williams. The officials in New York said they did not have access to the high-resolution feed, and this just took all of America. I mean, everybody was shocked, because are they saying that they're using some kind of low-resolution feed, maybe something we're even looking at here, to determine replay for every game, every Sunday? Are we serious? Is this what's going on here? So the 49ers lose the challenge, and not only does Seattle retain possession of the football, they actually charge San Francisco with a timeout. So this was an egregious miss by the officials, and it really helps out a Seattle Seahawks team that had momentum against San Francisco. But just when it seemed like the sky was falling for the 49ers, we would see an incredible defensive series from Nick Bosa. On first down, the Seahawks do something we've taken a look at a number of times over the years on this channel, trying to block Nick Bosa with a tight end. What are they doing here? Well, it turns out this is all part of the plan. This is rather cleverly going to be a tight end screen to Noah Fant. He's going to let Bosa get by on purpose, and then the Seahawks are going to throw him the football. But Nick Bosa sniffs out the screen, and Geno Smith is forced to dirt this football, bringing up second down. On second down, the Seahawks try another form of misdirection, sending both of their tackles downfield to block, and leaving Nick Bosa unblocked on purpose. The left guard will block Leonard Floyd, and the center will block the defensive tackle on the right side. Anthony Bradford will block the other defensive tackle, clearing the way for Zach Charbonnet. But for some reason, Bradford heads downfield to block. Kevin Givens is unblocked, he disrupts Zach Charbonnet, and Nick Bosa, also unblocked, cleans up the play, bringing up third down. On 3rd and 10, the Seahawks would send a lot of long developing routes way down the field. They do build in a check down with Zach Charbonnet, but Fred Warner takes the route away. And here we would see Nick Bosa utilize the spin move, forcing Geno Smith to throw this football away. And you can see some of the fans reacting in the stands. That was a huge defensive stand by the 49ers in this game. So the 49ers do get the ball back, but because of the error by the replay officials, they're going to have to work to regain some of that field position. So the 49ers start out by sending Eric Schauber and Brandon Ayuk deep, but the Seahawks are ready for this, once again playing with two safeties, both of whom backpedal on the play. Now, as we know, this does open up the middle of the field, so as soon as Brandon Ayuk is past the linebacker, that's where he goes, and the linebacker is held just long enough by the route of Patrick Taylor. This is going to be a pretty tight window, but take a look. Brandon Ayuk hasn't even started his break yet, and Brock Purdy is already winding up to throw this football. What a dart. That was beautiful. The Seahawks do eventually force the 49ers back into a punting situation, but now with better field position, they have a chance to really pin the Seahawks back deep with a good punt here. And the punt coverage team has played pretty well in this game, and now I'm not so mad at the special teams. And here we would get to what was ultimately the final big turning point in this ball game. Faced with 1st and 18 after a penalty, the Seahawks again send long developing routes down the field, this time to DK Metcalf, who's coming across. And check out Renardo Green. He decides to undercut the route. Now, that can be pretty risky. If DK were to utilize a double move, for instance, he'd be gone. But Green is watching Geno Smith the whole time, and he said he had a key on Geno and knew when he was going to throw the football. And Green intercepts the football. It's a back-breaking turnover for the Seahawks and another great defensive play by a San Francisco rookie. I said before the season that these rookies were going to play for San Francisco, and thanks to their preparation, they are having a big impact on this game. By picking up a lot of young players, not only in the draft, but also in free agency. These young players are going to play. And think about what we just saw on Deebo. That was from a video I did in the preseason. You can get access to bonus videos like that and more by becoming a member of our Patreon channel. But now the 49ers have the ball inside the red zone and they're facing a 3rd down and 4. They'd really like to punch this thing in to take full advantage of that key turnover by Geno Smith. Brock Purdy starts out taking a look at his right, and he just takes a glance. I have to think that this is to move the safety or at least hold him just a bit. And check out the route of Patrick Taylor, once again drawing the attention of the linebacker, Jerome Baker this time. This allows the 49ers once again to get George Kittle matched up one-on-one against a safety. This time it's Rayshon Jenkins. Jenkins is set up to the outside, and because of the look-off from Brock Purdy, Julian Love is being held just a bit. There's going to be a very tight window for George Kittle to take this to the inside. And once again, Brock Purdy throws a dart. Touchdown, San Francisco, and in the 4th quarter, the 49ers once again go up by 2 scores. They go for the 2-point conversion to make it a 14-point game. They don't get it, but they're still up by 12 points, a 2-score game, and as you can see, we're hitting the 5-minute mark in the 4th quarter, and the Seahawks need to score twice. Not only do they need to score twice, they need to score 2 touchdowns. The most important thing for the 49er defense is not to allow a quick strike by Seattle, so they leave 2 safeties back deep, taking away all of the deeper routes, and giving up a route underneath. Importantly, making these tackles inbounds because they want to keep that clock running. And the 49ers do a pretty good job of this until this play on 3rd down and 5. With DK Metcalf coming across, George Odom can't resist biting on this move by DK and wanting to come up with a big stop on 3rd down, and DK absolutely burns him with a double move, and this is the exact scenario that the 49ers didn't want. But this play would not count. Let's go back to the snap. The Seahawks had made a critical mistake at a critical point in the game, when both Ken Walker and the receiver go in motion at the same time. By rule, they then both have to be set before this ball can be snapped. Ken Walker never gets set. You see the flag come out for an illegal shift, meaning this play never happened. And from this point on, the 49er defense did an outstanding job of forcing Seattle to complete passes underneath inbounds to keep that clock running. At one point, Fred Warner even forced a fumble, which set the Seahawks back and cost them time on the clock. Seattle finally gets to a point where they can start taking shots into the end zone, but San Francisco knows that they need to score a touchdown quickly, and this gives the defense the advantage. After 3 incompletions, Seattle is faced with a big 4th down and goal. The Seahawks finally score when Tyler Lockett puts a double move on Renardo Green. But it would end up being too little, too late. The San Francisco defense did not allow Seattle to score until they were inside the 2-minute warning. Seattle does not go for the onside kick because they still have all 3 of their timeouts left, but even a single first down by the 49ers would essentially end this game. It's a clever bit of strategy that the 49er defense executed perfectly, and now they turn things over to the offense. And it's Isaac Guerendo. Another rookie makes a brilliant contribution at the end of the game. It takes the fastest player on the Seahawks, Devin Witherspoon, to run him down, or did he slide down? Still some question about that, but either way, it's a huge play for the 49ers that ices the game. Spencer Burford and Jake Brendel double-team the nose tackle, and Dominic Pooney and Colton McKivitz double-team the end, clearing the way for Isaac Guerendo. But what really springs Guerendo loose is Dominic Pooney coming off his block and getting downfield to also block Jerome Baker. Rookie guard Dominic Pooney blocking 2 players on 1 play, another rookie contribution. Now look, I know the game is essentially over, but if we're being precise, which we are, yes, Guerendo should go down inbounds there to force the Seahawks to continue to use their timeouts until the game is completely ended. Asked after the game if Kyle Shanahan wants Guerendo to go down there, he said, quote, "Hell no, I want him to score," to big laughs in the press room. And that's exactly what Kyle Juszczyk does on the fullback dive, making the final score San Francisco 36, Seattle 24. And one thing I always like to highlight on this channel, we see some good sportsmanship between the 2 teams at the end of this game after a tremendous game played for the division lead. The Seattle Seahawks are clearly building talent on both the offensive and defensive side of the football, but they were hurt in this game by the fact that they had to play 3 games in 11 days. Yes, you heard that right. They played Monday night at Detroit. Then they had to play Sunday against the New York Giants, and then again Thursday against San Francisco. And the injuries Seattle has on defense are legitimate. Nwosu put on IR. For the San Francisco 49ers, I can't say how impressed I was with them in this game. Again, they absolutely were masterful with the X's and O's. The players showed up, the stars used their full athletic talents. Brock Purdy was incredible. We saw outstanding performances from Nick Bosa, George Kittle, Deebo Samuel, Kyle Juszczyk, all of the key players, and the rookies made key contributions on this team as we knew they would have to this season. The 49ers faced adversity in this game with the kickoff return for the touchdown and the botched call by the replay officials, and they still showed a lot of heart and poise to be able to play through that and come out of this with the win, something 49er fans were looking to see from this team. Folks, I want to thank all my new subscribers. You guys have been absolutely tremendous. Several of you chose to share last week's video. Thank you so much for doing that. That really helps out this channel. In fact, it takes a long time to make a video like this. If you could give me just 10 seconds to hit that like button on your way out, I would really appreciate it. And of course, I want to give an extra special thanks to those of you who have gone the extra mile to help support this channel. Your support means that I can take the time to do these videos week in and week out. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And also a huge thanks to our Patreon supporters. You guys are an essential part of this team. I could not do these videos without you. Check out our Patreon page for bonus videos and more. There is a link in the description. All right, so where do both of these teams go from here? Well, Seattle has another difficult road trip going across the country to face the Atlanta Falcons, who have been pretty hot with Kirk Cousins, kind of to the surprise of some or maybe none, who knows. But that's going to be a tough matchup, but the Seahawks need to win that game to break this losing streak and stay in contention, stay in that tie for first place in the NFC West. For the 49ers, it doesn't get any easier for them facing the Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs a week from Sunday in Levi's Stadium. That is going to be a tremendous game. And I don't know what's going to happen in those games, but you know we are going to be here to break down that film, and I will see you guys then.